Another day, another roast. You know, not every computer deserves to be thrown in a dumpster fire, but the ones we're looking at today could be used as a dumpster fire. So let's take a look at some of these embarrassments, atrocities, and betrayals to the PC Master Race that were submitted to my Twitter account. Get in. Please roast my computer. I'm a struggling weeb. Weeb alert! Weeb alert! We got a weeb. My weebdar is firing off the charts. It's a bit old by now, but it still runs everything on Ultra. Fantex P400S, good case, Core i7-6700K, ROG Maximus 8 Formula, HyperX 32 gigs of DDR4, 2 GTX 980 Ti's, Corsair H100i V2, storage a lot, and Corsair RM1000. What is this? What is going on here? My little PC can't be this cute. If that's not the cringiest thing I've ever seen in a PC. What? Who? Ah, weebs. Even after all this time, you never cease to disgust me. What is going on here? Is this wrapping paper? Did you just print this out of a printer and then just tape it on here over your PSU shroud and this part of the motherboard tray? Why? I mean, this really floats your boat. I mean, you look at this and you go, wow, what a great way to flex my PC building skills and my virginity. I just don't understand. What kind of thoughts go through your head when you look at this character? You know, that case didn't used to be white, right? Apart from these awkward anime girls staring deep into my soul and making me uncomfortable, the rest of the build actually doesn't look too bad, except what? What's up with the, why is your water block sideways? It says, you know, the Corsair logo is supposed to be like how you read things in real life, right? Like just across. No, this doesn't make any sense. You had no reason why you had to go vertical here. You could have just mounted it the proper way. You were probably just too fixated on what anime wallpaper you were gonna use. So you can rotate that very easily, tear out the desperate anime wallpaper, and you're good. If you wanna get nitpicky, you do have a bit of an RGB clash here with literal RG and B colors that don't really seem to mesh well together unless you're just trying to go for a mishmash of rainbow-puke, that's fine. But you know what, I can't get over this. Until you get rid of this anime stuff, and I'm gonna say this for the first time in my life, put the computer on the floor so no one can see it. In fact, shove it in the deepest, darkest corner of your house. And if you're lucky enough, it'll overheat and die so you can throw it away. You know what's sad is that this build could have been good. Hell, it could have been great. You know, I would have given it an 8 out of 10, but you defiled it and posted it on the interweebs, so I'm gonna give you a 3, but not just any 3, okay? I'm gonna give you a 3 in the same orientation that your CPU cooler's in, which means it's a W, and that stands for worst build ever. Thank you, no thank you, Mr. whatever the hell your name was. Morris M. Ryzen 5 3600, MSI NVIDIA 1660 Ti, Gigabyte X570 Gaming X, Corsair Vegeant 16 gigs, Corsair 650 watt, 240 gig SSD, 2 terabyte hard drive, Corsair Spec Delta case, Samsung 144 hertz monitor, okay. Why do you have an X570 motherboard with a Ryzen 5 3600? Did you get a really good deal on it? Did someone give it to you? You don't really need that. I mean, unless you're, what are you taking advantage of? You don't even have it, unless this SSD is PCIe Gen 4 and you need that for some reason. I don't know what's going on there, but holy moly, hold on a second. Okay, so at least it's, you know, up off the floor, elevated, interesting little shelf there. I'm not gonna roast that, that's not what this episode's about, but I easily could. All right, let's take a look what went so horribly wrong with this build. I mean, for starters, cable management is a little all over the place. It's just unrefined in some areas. It's not the worst I've seen, but like your USB 3.0 cables, just like, what is this, going all the way across? You've got cables that are right in front of your VRM heatsink that could have easily been routed around. Why is there a fan hub that's just kind of hanging out the side of your motherboard tray? And look at this LED strip. Why do people leave their LED strips just hanging out, not adhered to anything? You know that they have adhesive backing on them. Some of them have magnets. There are multiple ways to stick these things to surfaces. But you know, you couldn't do that in this system anyway because there's so much dust buildup and this thing hasn't been cleaned in so long. I don't think 3M tape would even cling to the steel. It's just sad. Someone called the PC abuse hotline. You have another LED strip up here, but why is it pushed way to the back of the case right above the motherboard? Shouldn't it be kind of like right here so that the LEDs are actually hidden so you don't get LED hotspots? I mean, this one has no hope. This is gonna look like a bunch of Christmas lights lit up because you're gonna see all these LEDs through the glass panel. So I would just remove this bottom one entirely, move the top one so that it's hidden, and it looks like there's an LED strip at the front, but you can't see it, which is what you want. You want them to be out of sight. You also have RGB RAM that's not displaying any RGB. I mean, the system's on, the fans are going, there's LEDs on the graphics card. Why is this not lit up? Was it because the DIMMs killed themselves because of all the dust buildup? I think this is the saddest cable I've ever seen. The one going to the fan hub. It comes off the motherboard, and there's some slight attempt to go behind the motherboard tray, but it just goes behind this 1-inch piece of steel, and then right back out here. You're only covering 10% of the cable. The rest of it is completely exposed and looks terrible. You should probably get an extension for that so you can move this cable out of sight, as well as the fan hub. Get this thing behind the motherboard tray. If there's not enough room there, you have an entire PSU basement. Get some extensions if you need, man. They're cheap. They're really cheap. Apart from that though, this is a pretty capable PC. You can definitely do some 1080p or maybe even some entry-level 1440p gaming with the CPU and GPU that you have on hand. Again, your motherboard choice is a little bit odd to me. I would have gone for something like B450, taken that extra money and put it towards a data vac, something you probably never heard of. Marcus Aurelius, Intel Core i7 7700K 4.2 GHz OC to 5 GHz Samsung 850 Pro 512 gig SSD, GTX 1050 Ti 4 gig super clock, okay, EVGA 850 watt Noctua CPU cooler Patriot memory 16 gigs, MSI Z178 Tomahawk 3 years old. Oh, it's a little baby. Why do you have such a low-end GPU with such a high-end CPU? That is interesting. Unless you're doing more CPU intensive tasks with this system, I'm not exactly sure why you skimped out on the GPU, but went so high on the CPU. But let's take a look at the build here. For starters, your Noctua cooler has bunny ears. I don't know if you were aware. I'm sure it performs great though. You've got some RGB fans at the top and back. This one's exhaust. This one's intake though. I guess that works. It looks like you might have a dust filter up there, so you know that's definitely gonna help a lot. And sure, if you're gonna help aid these front intake fans by blowing more cool air into your CPU cooler, then I guess that could work. I'm not worried about your GPU at all because it's a low powered enough card to not heat up very much. You are missing an expansion slot at the back of your case. That doesn't look great. Cable management is okay in some areas. For example, your 24-pin ATX is fine. Your SSD and some of the front panel connectors look okay. But then you've got like, what's this? Why do you have a red cable just kind of hanging out in front of the motherboard tray? And again with the LED strip, just hanging out, not adhered to anything. This is anarchy. I don't get it. Why do people do this? So from this angle, we get a better picture of your front intake fans, which clearly show that the stickers are off. Like you should have just rotated this one 90 degrees counterclockwise to match the sticker on this one, because now they're all mismatched and stuff. That's weird. I'm guessing you were trying to go for a red thing here. Your motherboard and your memory are red, but then you installed the Noctua cooler and it was like all bets are off. Maybe there's some black versions of these fans. I don't know if everything's been Chromax at this point, but you can look into that. It would definitely blend a lot better. Upgrade your graphics card. The GTX 1050 Ti was a solid budget GPU back then, but when you pair it with something like a 7700K and a gaming workload that's heavily GPU bound, you're gonna be dealing with a pretty heavy bottleneck. I mean, imagine watching a baton race where one of the teams consists of Usain Bolt and me. The performance of the better athlete is gonna be more or less wasted because I can't run a quarter mile without having a heart attack. So for the love of God and all that is holy in the world, upgrade your graphics card. Thank you. TS Wicked. Wicked spelled wrong with 2 Ks. Ooh, that is wicked indeed, sir. This is my gaming PC. Ryzen 1800X, Asus Strix X370F, 32 gigs of RAM, 3200 speed, Asus Strix RTX 2080, 500 gig SSD, some more storage, 1000 watt Corsair PSU, rainbow-puke for days. I know I need sleeve cables. Don't tell me what I need, I already know. All right, let's see. Whoa! Whoa, that is some heavy-handed rainbow-puke there. Okay, let's take a look with it off for a second. Okay, a couple things here. This cable I'm not a fan of. What is this droopage? This kind of sag of your cable just looks kind of nasty. It throws off the whole aesthetic of this otherwise pleasing to look at water block, so fix that. You've also got 2 mismatched fans. There's a Raid Max and an NZXT fan. Pick one! My suggestion would be stick to the Raid Max fans if you want to keep the unicorn puke going strong. As you mentioned, you definitely want to clean things up with some sleeved extensions. Let's take a look back here. What again? Christmas lights! You've got Christmas lights in your build. People are gonna see this and go, oh, he still hasn't taken his Christmas lights down from his computer. Also, great idea for you. Why don't you go ahead and team up with Morris M over here, and the two of you can go halvesies on a data vac. It's pretty damn dusty down here, man. I see it on the tempered glass side panel, on the PSU shroud at the back of the case. Y'all need to get together and have a cleaning day. This is unacceptable. Apart from that, though, you've got a lot going for this build, right? You've got some high-end specs, the parts seem well balanced. Just take care of that cable management issue and hide those LED hotspots, okay? Unicorn poop is fine, but when you've got LED hotspots like this, it's more like the inside of a unicorn's butthole. Take care of it. Jose Fraticelli, the man with the Mexican first name and the Italian last name. Intel Core i5 6600K. Motherboard is a B250M mortar, I think he meant to say. 120 gig SSD, 1 terabyte hard drive, 8 gigs of RAM, and an ASRock RX 578 gig with an unknown case. So like one of the previous builds we just looked at, you've got this imbalance of a really good gaming CPU. 6600K can still hold its own if gaming is the bulk of your workload, but then it's paired with this very entry-level GPU. Fortunately, the graphics card's really easy to upgrade, so you should probably do that first before you touch anything else in this build, including the god-awful unknown case that whatever this is. Oh God, that case. Oh God, that case. What is going on here? Look, there's a fancy HD audio. Woo, HD audio. Let's never use that. And a single USB 3. What kind of, this is a terrible looking case. Maybe you should get a new case at the same time you get the GPU, all right? How about that? Okay, so one 8 gig stick. Why don't you get another one of those? Get 16. 16 is usually the recommended go-to capacity for gaming these days. Plus your motherboard supports dual channel, so you can take advantage of that. I've seen worse cable management in my time, but some of this ain't pretty. This is kind of all over the place. You've got cables coming from your clear stripper heels fans going straight into the rear motherboard area. And then there's this long ass cable. Is this your HD audio? Just unplug that. Never use that port ever again. HD audio is terrible. It never sounds as good as the rear panel. Done. You could probably do away with this hideous power supply sticker and clean your system for reals, okay? Don't use your finger and scrape it along the top of your power supply in the bottom of the case. We can tell you clearly just windshield wipered it. That's not gonna cut it. So parts wise, I'd upgrade your GPU, your case. I would expand your memory to 16 gigs, maybe get a new SSD. I think the SanDisk SSD Plus is a DRAM-less drive, so if you're not encountering any issues with it, then fine. But if you want something with more performance, maybe better write endurance, things like that, I mean, you have an M.2 slot on your board. You could do it. By the way, when you get a new case and you start moving some of this hardware into it, leave these fans behind. You can keep the Corsair ones, but the clear stripper heel fans can die in a fire. Hold on, I just realized this 120mm radiator doesn't have a fan on it. There's no fan on it. Jose, what? Explain yourself. I'm guessing it's due to a clearance issue, but you've got to be able to move this radiator somewhere else in the case that allows you to fit at least one fan on it, right? Maybe the rear, maybe at the front. It doesn't really matter where it is at this point. As long as it has a fan, it'll be better than the situation it's in now. Disappointed, Jose. Disappointed in you. Thomas Banya, Tommy B. My specs just upgraded from a 1600 and B350. I've got an MSI Tomahawk B450 Max, Ryzen 5 3600 with a stock cooler, Patriot Viper 16 gigs, power color RX 5700 blower style, EVGA 550BR fully modular PSU, Drivo 128 SAD, I think he meant SSD there, and you've got some hard drives there. All right, let's take a look. Whoa, what's happening here? What is this? Tommy, why is your PC being used as a litter box? I think your cats are confused. I don't know how well you guys can see this, but there's white speckled crap all over his PSU shroud. What is that? Is that part of the dust? Is that just like chunks of dust? I don't know, it looks nasty. That better not be rat poop. But you know what? It wouldn't surprise me, Tommy. You are an animal. Cable management is horrible. Look at this SATA cable coming from the SSD, just straight down when there's clearly a cutout right behind it. Look at this fan splitter that's just hanging out like a limp wiener. Tuck that thing away. No one wants to see that. You need some sleeved extensions, man, because these cables just aren't cutting it. You got some red memory sticks that don't match anything else in the build except maybe the Radeon logo here, but it's just kind of all over the place. You've got purple LED fans. Why is this fan mounted as an intake? Why is that fan mounted as an intake? Wait, why are these fans mounted as exhaust? Wait, why is this fan mounted as an intake? What? Tommy. No, this is what you should do, is flip these top two fans as intake so that all three of them have some form of dust filtration. I'm guessing there's some dust filtering going on at the front of your case. Flip the back fan so you can actively remove hot air from your case and never build a computer again. What's going on with your desk? It's like the same crumbly white stuff that was in your PC. Oh my God, that keyboard. Dude, does your mom know that you keep her basement this dirty? And you're using a DVD cover for a mouse pad. Somebody help this person, my God. Is everything okay at home? You know, jokes aside, Tommy, if there's one thing you have going for you, it's that you have really nice painted walls. That's just the freshest, cleanest coat of paint. No, I'm sorry, I got nothing. Josue original. Josue, Josue? Is that Josue? I give up. What you think of my 3 years old build? Ryzen 5 1600 overclocked to 3.8 gigahertz, T-Force 16 gigs. Okay, not dual channel. MSI B450M motherboard, GTX 1070 overclocked. Hikvision. 480 gig SSD, please let that be a real name. 1 terabyte WD Blue and a 7-year-old Seagate drive, Seasonic M12 2 550 watt full modular PSU. Okay, so your system specs are that they are okay. So if your system's 3 years old, then you probably got the original first gen 14 nanometer Ryzen 5 1600, not the 1600 AF, which is not quite as good, but it's not a terrible CPU either. What case is this? I don't think you said which case this is. Oh, GameMax case. Still have no idea what that is. It looks like a budget model or whatever. So Seasonic PSUs are great. their stickers are sometimes not. So I would remove that, especially because it's like this hideous yellow. It's just the first thing that your eyes go to. Remove that bad boy. You've also got 1 stick of memory. Maybe pop in another stick. I know you've already got 16 gigs, so only do it if you really need it, but that would open you up to dual channel. 16 gigs is plenty though. You've also got these clear stripper heel fans again. I'm telling you guys, you can't do it. They were acceptable in the early 2000s when no one had taste, but now there are so many better options for not too much money. Get rid of them. They look terrible. No one likes them, not even you. I'm happy to report that the name of the SSD manufacturer is in fact Hikvision. Did the drive come with like a free Budweiser or something? Chinese names are the best. Remove that sticker, it's awful. What is this GPU sag thing mechanism here? I don't know, is that the way it's supposed to be used? I don't think so, because it doesn't look good. Is it supposed to go on the side of the card, maybe not in front of it? I don't know where you got this thing or how it's supposed to work, but it looks weird here. Your cable management is looking pretty sad here. You've got a power supply shroud and some room behind the motherboard tray, it looks like, but these cables are just not pulled very tightly. They're not tidily managed. There's a lot of excess cable just showing on this side of the case. What is this? Little rat's nest is starting to form down here, so tighten all that up. Now, I said it once and I'll say it again. Dust your systems regularly, people. I can see a buildup on your GPU backplate, on the PSU shroud. The PSU shroud looks really bad. Looks like there's a thick coat of dust there. If I can't tell a piece of steel from a wool rug in your system, you so bad. Oh, it's so bad. Bradley Gao, first PC built with my dad, and I didn't pay much attention to cable management. Oh, I'm sure you didn't. If you're on this episode, you definitely didn't. Ryzen 7 3700X, MSI B450 Tomahawk Max, 16 gigs, Patriot Viper RAM, MSI RTX 2070, 2 terabyte hard drive with a Kingston 480 gig SSD, EVGA 600 watt unit, Fantex Eclipse P350X. All right, so your specs are actually pretty strong here. Good CPU and GPU pairing. I like the case choice as well. Sensible storage configuration and everything else looks honky-dory. Let's see the build. What is this? You're using your fan cable to hoist up your GPU? Is that what's happening here? Is this your anti-sag method? What? I have never seen such a thing. This is stupid. Was this your idea or your dad's? If it was your dad's, he should be fired from being a dad. I mean, maybe you got rid of the GPU sag, but in doing so, you're now putting a lot of tension on this small fan header on your motherboard. I'm beside myself. I don't even know what to say anymore. My eyes have been violated. A better alternative than using fragile motherboard pins to hoist up your graphics card is to buy an actual GPU sag bracket. They exist. Look them up. That way you can have some semblance of cable management in this area, and you obviously need to work on this down here too. This is terrible. There's no excuse in this case. This is a solid Fantex case with good cable management, a full PSU basement. Don't be lazy. I don't think I have to tell you this, but your fans are not matching. It'd be really cool if they were though. Looks like you've got one more fan at the back here that's set as an intake. What's with this trend of putting the rear fan as an intake? You're inviting dust, you're circulating hot air. Get matching fans, flip the rear fan, fix your cable management, and get a new dad. Thank you guys for another episode of Judging Your PCs, or Roasting Them, or whatever the hell we're calling this series that I just can't seem to find a name on. Toss a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Get subscribed for more tech content on the way, and check out Bitwit.tech, our merchandise store. Everything that you can possibly imagine cannot be found on our store, but the things that can be found there are pretty cool. So check it out. It's a great way to help support the channel and what we do here at Bitwit. As always, thanks again for watching, guys. Have a good one, and I'll see y'all in the next video.